Hello, and we're gonna start right away on how to fill out the head coach forms. Um, I'll try and keep this brief and for all the things. Now, the quickest way to get to the normal forms, this is obviously the old site, but the new site will probably be similar. How you get to your head coach form is you click on your team, and you'll get something that looks like this. And in the bottom of your roster will be this little button that says head coach use only. You click on that, and you'll be getting to this form. Now this will have all the players on your team, and if they're good to go, this will be a green healthy symbol. If they are on a day-to-day, which I'll get to in a little bit, this will be a black thing saying questionable. And if they are injured, then it'll be red saying injured. Now, the main thing is you have these 5 starters. The next bracket is going to be these 3 bench spots. And then we have the back 4 bench spots. And then these last 3 will not play. If you do not have a full 15 player team, you will not have all 15 people here. Now, it is up to you as the head coach to figure out who is best at what position. But generally guards, you want in the point guard or shooting guard position. Swings will either be usually in the shooting guard or small forward position. Small forwards will generally be small forward or big or power forward, which is this one. Power forward or FC will be generally these two. CF will be these two, and then C you want only on this 5th spot. The main way to find out which are your best is you have to look at the stats of the game, which means the preseason is essential for anyone you don't know. That is your responsibility to mix up your thing, to find out how good people are. Else, go to the chat and ask. People will be more than friendly to do that. So, I guess I can't edit these, but normally this will be a drop-down menu where you click this and then you have the whole selection of all of these, and you can pick them. And then you do that. Now the main thing is, as I said, you have 3 main groups. You want your best players at each of the positions at these positions. You notice in here, in this case, Jake was being played as small forward. This was because this was their finals where they were against Albany. And in the end, they were trying to throw Jake at Umechi to see if maybe that could do anything. If you want to mix up your roster, that is perfectly fine. But it is your job to figure out what works. But typically, Jake should have been either power forward or center only. Bench 1 to 3 are your main backups. Whereas these guys, where your starters will generally get about 30 minutes a game, bench 1 to 3 will generally get about 20 minutes a game. Now, it doesn't matter if you go guard, so these are your main backups. So these are the first 3 players that will be used to replace all 5 of these. So you want one person that can handle these 2 spots. You want one person that can handle somewhere in this range. You want one of those 3 spots to be somewhere in here. So if you can see, okay, you have a guard. Ryan is the backup point guard. Nico McNamara could do both shooting guard or small forward. And then we had Sheila Andrews, who could do both the power forward and the center. That way, each player on here has someone they can swap to so they can take a break. And that is essential. These back 4 are not as necessary. These are only going to be getting about maybe, depending on how you set your settings, most maybe 5 to 10 minutes to play. And their order doesn't really matter too much. These 3 are the people that are not going to be playing that game, whether they are injured or that's just not their time in the roster or they're just People like Aaron Murray, who should only ever get out of the do not play list if people is injured. All right, now you have down here, you have this thing called offensive intensity. You can set this from 1 or 0 to 5. This does not mean, if I set offensive intensity of 3, that does not necessarily mean that I'm going to definitely get more points. What it means is they're going to try harder. A way to think of it is for like a defensive intensity of 0 is like, okay, I'm going to try, I'm going to give it my all. And if a ball gets near me, I'm going to dash for it, I'm going to reach for it, I'm going to go for it. If you have it at like 4, but I'm going to just run at it. If you have it at like 3 or 4, oh, the ball is coming my way, I'm going to literally throw myself in the direction of the ball in the attempt of trying to get the ball. And naturally, that means as these go up, the more likely you are going to have injuries. Currently, there is an injury limit of 4 players per team, per game. And we'll get to the severities of those in a bit. And then but you generally don't want this very super high. Like the combine of these should not be over, like 3 is sort of even really high. Generally, a lot of teams tend to have this around the 1 or 2 range. Because 3 means you are probably going to get 3 or 4 injuries that game. All right, now we have here. Each quarter, you can do a different little 1, 2, or 3. Set for, okay, how you want the play to go. Equalize is really good if you have like a really good bench, a lot of depth on your team. Your starters are not playing as much, which means they're going to stay a lot more rested, and your bench is going to pick up a lot more of the time. Your starters will still play more than your bench, though. It's just not as much. Normal has the starters playing more, and then these 3 playing the second most, and then these 3 sort of getting whatever's left. And the main difference between equalize and normal is that on equalize, these 4 positions are considered to be equal. They will get the exact same minutes all 4 quarters. In normal, oopsies, I didn't want to do that. Yeah. In normal, as you can see down here, these bottom 2 spots will not play in quarters 2 and 4. And for the final one, which is aggressive is like adding a +1 to each of these for that quarter. And that one's, you're only going to be playing mainly these 8 spots are going to be the only ones that go on the floor unless someone gets injured. And most of it's going to be just these 5. And roster notes is one of the things I want to do for this year is to actually add a thing that you can actually put custom things. And I'll show you more when we get to the other form. Now, there are 3 kinds of injuries, and how you check for an injury is you go over from the front page, you have this little thing for games, you go new page for that, and at the end of the game, okay, let's find one where someone did get injured. Okay, but not sure why it's not showing injuries. Oh, it'd be box scores. Okay, box scores. You go select the box score for your team, and down here you have this. This is showing everyone that's gotten injured. There are 3 types of injuries. You have here, these are the 0 game injuries, where something happened that forced them out of the game, but they were only out for that game. You do not need to take any special action. And then we have stuff like this. This is a day-to-day disable injury where you can still play them, just not on as much time. And if you have an X-day injury, then they are injured and they have to go into the do not play. Now, a very common strategy, it's a risky strategy, but if you're questionable, if you're on day-to-day, if you can survive one game of play without getting injured again, you are cleared to play. So a very common strategy for a lot of coaches, which works really well, but it has occasionally backfired, is if your starter gets injured on a day-to-day, you throw them down here. You throw them down to the 6th bench, the 7th bench, where they're not going to be getting much play time. You make sure your intensity is not very high, maybe like a 1-0 or 0-1, and you just, your chances of, with the 1-0, 0-1, your chances of getting too many injuries are very low. The amount of play time they're getting is also very, very low. So the odds of them getting re-injured is fairly safe to just, okay, put them in there. I think the entire season we had 1, maybe 2 injuries where they came from this dot and got injured again. Out of the entire season, of all the day-to-day injuries we had, only 1 or 2 got injured again from down here. So that's a very safe way to do it. If they're marked day-to-day, just put them in your bottom 2 bench spots. Have your team not on that high of intensity. After 1 game, they should be cleared and then good to go. Else, you can also check if you have someone on injuries, you'll want to frequently go over to this one, which is the injuries tab. And then if your player shows up on the cleared, they're definitely good to be played again. If they get moved from down from 15 or 7-day down to a day-to-day, then again, you can do the, oh, hey, let's put them in the bottom 2 bench. But your main thing is, okay, maybe rotate your team as needed. How you want to handle your bench is, however, up to you. Your starters are probably not going to move over the course of the season. They're going to be your starters because they're your best players unless they get injured, in which case they get dropped down. How you want to handle the rest of your bench is up to you. Now let's go to the currently, since the new website isn't yet working, we have an interim form, which is looks like this, which is all the players on the team and this nice little thing. Now it's not as pretty as this. This is nice and easy. You can look at all the things. This one, it's not as easy and it doesn't currently show injuries. But it's the same thing. It's like, okay, I'm going to want Jerry as my point guard. I'm going to want, well, this is just for that. Let's say Margaret is the shooting guard. We'll go Nico as that. We want Daniel's going to be our final. We want Jake Turner as our power forward. So then we have all of these, and you don't have that. Sort of like this one is actually a little bit easier to track. This one is like, oh, you could put 2 people as point guard, and until you hit submit, save page, when you go to the next page, it'll say, oh, hey, you made an error. Then you undo it and then go do that. This one, you just look down each column. So say, okay, Nell's here. So I want 1 guard here. We'll say Bobby's our 2 bench, in which case we have, we'll do 3 bench. If you have any non, you just have to fill out the back. Because it's like Seattle currently has only 14. So we have to fill out the back. So let's send you up to 4. What else do we have left? We'll give you 5. We'll have Evan 6. We'll Kenny 7. Which means our last 2 is Natalie gets that one. This is not what I'll probably actually have it. This is just as an example. And then Clarexia will be bench 2. Now, And this, as you can see, each player is only on here once. And I've made sure that each position only has one person in that position. It will give you an error, or Steve will come yell at you if you don't have this correct. Now again, down here we have the offensive intensity from 0 to 5. We're going to set that at 1, because 1's a good, low, safe number. We're going to set this at 0. And it's again, same as the other one, where I like to actually, for Seattle, throw their aggressive at the end. Throw an aggressive at the end to sort of last final push. And then one of the things that's going to be, from what I understand, is going to be on this too, is one of the things you can do is, okay, let's customize. So we can say, now we need a total of, as it says, 60 minutes for 5 players times 12, or 500%. So I can do like starter 7 minutes. So now I have, and we'll keep track of this down here for you, 7 times 5 equals 35. And when you're calculating this out, you might want to do this too. Let's go 5 minutes. I should probably put three times 5 gives me 50. Let's go 4 minutes. 3 minutes, so 2, that's another 6. And 2 times 2. Add another 4. So this gives me 60. So this would be a custom thing where it's like, okay, I'm going to say all my starters, I want them to play 5 minutes or 7 minutes. I want my top 3 benches to each play 5 minutes. So this is a very sort of uber equalized start where I'm pretty much spending all the time between these two. Bench 4 and 5. Whoopsies. I do. We'll play 3 minutes. Bench 6 and 7 play 2. Again, with like normal, if someone is injured, that is up to you to find out and then sort of move them around as need be. If they are in the truly injured category, they should be in the DNP spots. If they are unquestionable, so you can either play safe and put them in DNP, or you can just throw them in bench 6 or 4 to 7, and then just play with low intensity. And then like normal, you just submit it, and then if there's a problem, Stevie will do it. If you want to do like a different thing on your customize, you could probably do that. Like you could do, say you wanted your point guard to stay in longer than your shooting guard. You could probably do stuff like that. This is basically you're writing how you want your lineup to go for each quarter. And then we just hit submit. And then that'll be edited, and if there's a problem, Stevie will come and sort of poke at you. If there's any questions, feel free and I'll answer them in the comments. Thank you.